Friends, let me talk to you now about the negotiation techniques that are to be followed in an office, especially in a government office, where we deal with the public money, the taxpayers' money, and where the officers are only the custodians and not the owners. So every sanctioning authority should exercise same vigilance as a man of ordinary prudence would exercise while spending his own money. Expenditure should not prima facie more than the occasion demands. So these are the two basic factors that people working in a government office have to keep in mind. However senior they are, they have to keep these factors in mind. And while dealing with government money, we should therefore have the fear of law and the morale both. Money is not available free of cost. It's available always at a cost, and it also involves the interest payments if it is borrowed and opportunity cost if it is for money. No matter what the activity is, whether it is purchase or consumption or utilization, a tour, a vehicle usage, or availing of other privileges, the objective that unnecessary expenditure is to be curtailed remains the same. And we have to look into the wisdom, faithfulness, and economy of the government expenditure always. So let us now come to the negotiation techniques. So the procurement of material, capital items, hiring of manpower, hiring of services, etc. These are all very common to all organizations, whether it is government or non-government. And how is negotiation defined? Negotiation is a debate. It's a discussion, a deliberation, a reconciliation between the parties having common interests or the conflicting interests. And the end result of negotiation is sincere commitment and not mere reduction in cost. So if I am the buyer, I want the item of my requirement or of my specifications because I want to produce something. I have to use that in my business. And I don't mind parting with the money that I have. On the other hand, the manufacturer or the supplier, he wants to somehow sell his machine. He wants money. So that's why we say that negotiation is a debate between the parties having common interests or conflicting interests. So negotiation cannot take place in an atmosphere of rigidity. A flexible, a congenial atmosphere of give and take is required for a negotiation. And the common characteristics of any negotiation, they are uncertainty and guessing. So one has to always guess and guess correctly in spite of the misleading, outright lying, and the exaggeration by the opponents. In negotiation, the interests of both the parties should be fulfilled to a certain extent. So, to what extent should we regard or disregard the interest of the other party, other parties, it should be decided. And it goes by our wisdom, by our judgment. So, we have to assess first the strengths of the other party vis-a-vis our own strengths. And we should also, we should neither underestimate nor overestimate the strengths or the weaknesses of the other party. And in negotiation, we should not reveal all our cards, all our strengths or weaknesses. So we have to be careful and cautious in revealing our intentions, our strengths, our weaknesses. And the person participating in the negotiation should have full authority to take decisions on spot. So we have to, go prepared and have a checklist of points to be discussed. And one should also know how important is that to win a negotiation. So in a situation where both the parties have common interests and intend to work together, the advantage of the situation should be taken and the things should be decided, settled amicably. So in our eagerness to decide things early, Because it is government money or the public money that is involved, one should not sacrifice the interests of the organization. And the same situation even in a private organization. So we should have a firm and clear cut idea of our own limits, the opening bid, the walkaway point, alternatives available. We should have the full data about these things. Only then we can effectively negotiate. So we should throw some motivation to the other party to induce the other party to come to our line of thinking. So the strengths and weaknesses of the other party should be properly judged. The strategy and the tactics to bring down the price should also be worked out properly. The market position, financial soundness, our own experience with the party, and the time pressure of the situation, the time pressure under which the other party is working should also be taken into account before deciding the price or before taking advantage of the situation. So, most of the time, negotiation ends up with only few facts and questionable assumptions. In the process, we should not lose important points and issues during the heat of the moment. Therefore, it is always better to list out the major issues, major points, and the minor issues and the targets to be achieved. One has to be creative and inventive in the arguments and counter arguments. There should be a friendly and cooperative environment. In a negotiation, people have to play different roles: the role of a leader, role of a spokesman, observer, note taker. So there should be no overlapping. A leader has to behave himself as a leader. Spokesman, he has to discuss and analyze things. The observer should carefully observe. He is a specialist and he should only guide the committee or the spokesman or the other party when they go wrong. So it's always better to project, to create some minor problems and solve it amicably to get the concessions. We should never tell at the end to the other party that we had too many concessions to offer, as this would next time turn to be a hard nut to crack. So we cannot again, I mean, really take advantage of the other party next time. He will not trust us. So when a deadlock is reached, it's better to take break, as a break can perform miracles. And if deadlock is reached in respect of one of the issues, it is better to stop at that stage and proceed with the discussions on the other items. And to avoid the further deceiving from the other party, it is better to fix a deadline and force him over threshold and ask him for the last offer, the best offer, by being fair and honest. In negotiation, polite language should be used. Just because we are working in a government organization and we have some authority and we have some power, position, etc., I should not, I should not abuse, I should not use the intimidation or rudeness, etc. We should avoid this. And at the same time, one should be careful about too much of submissiveness, understanding, cooperation, etc. from the other party. And we should understand one thing: spontaneous emotional outbursts. They are generally ineffective and counterproductive in any situation, in any argument or debate. So, what cannot be achieved by being emotional, it can certainly be achieved by controlled anger. And effective negotiation really does not require any enormous amount of intelligence and smartness. One has to listen and observe things carefully. One should have quick mood, analytical mood, and good business judgment. One should have good experience of participation in such meetings. One should be capable of discriminating the major issues from the minor ones, the good ones from the bad. One should charm others and not get himself charmed. One should inspire and trust others without himself trusting others. One should mislead others, not getting himself misled. So these are, some of the very important negotiation techniques that officers participating in negotiations, especially in government, have to observe. Okay, so thank you very much, friends. Thank you very much.